Snow, freezing rain, severe thunderstorms, just plain rain, mud, and kind of a mess for our Christmas across the country. And I think as we head into the new year, the potential is still on the table for some snowstorms. And for some of you, it could be the first snowstorm of the season. We're going to get into that in just a second. Again, when we look at these long-range outlooks, they're very polarizing. I just want to tell you, a lot of people get really mad and worked up when you talk about long-range forecast because they think, why are you showing me this? And listen, the idea behind it is not exactly where the snowstorm will be. Is there even the potential on the table for something to form? I can tell you this week, absolutely not. At least what you would think is a classic winter storm showing up. But across the West, let's start with what's going on. We're going to walk around the whole country. We're going to start across the West with our satellite here. We've got a decent storm moving into the Pacific Northwest. Hurricane force winds off the coast. Huge waves pounding the coast here. Into the east, we've got this clipper system, if you will, in front, moving through the Great Lakes. That's bringing some snow to Wisconsin, Michigan. It's going to bring the snow heading into this afternoon and tonight into New York. You're bringing this precipitation into the DC metro. Surfaces are likely below freezing, and as that precipitation arrives, as this warm air surges in, we're going to see the ice potential. In the upper levels, I want to show you this. We'll talk about the overall pattern first, and then we'll dive into those details. There's your storm in the west, but listen, look at this pattern. Ridge across a good chunk of the country. You do have these small troughs embedded in the upper level wave pattern, so to speak. And there could actually be some decent thunderstorms with this system heading into Thursday, too, across parts of Texas. But your trough is still up here south of Alaska, a decent ridge along the East Coast. No chance of an East Coast or even central U.S. snowstorm with a pattern like this. It will start to change as we head into January. At least the long-term Europeans weeklies are showing that. The ensembles are starting to show that too. And now as we head toward the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd, this looks much different. Now you're getting more of a long wave trough pattern in the east. Your polar vortex dropping a little bit further to the south now, bringing in that northwest flow. And my question will be, with this type of pattern, this is significantly different than what we're looking at right now. You've got to have the pattern in place before there's even a chance of a snowstorm. And I think some people read into that a little bit differently. But, do we have any pieces of energy that move along our southern subtropical jet? And now we've got northwest flow coming in like this with chunks of energy diving in. Do these pieces of energy meet somewhere? And when they do we start to see something blow up like this? Or does it move more like this and then drop snow into the mid-Atlantic? So I'm telling you, there's a chance at this point. I think we turn cold. I'm feeling really confident about that. Let's talk about the high confidence snow that we're going to see heading into the Northeast as we move into your Christmas Eve, especially into the morning hours. We've got rain back here across the central U.S. and snow moving into the Rockies. We've got the snow that will start to pick up into southern parts of Ontario as we move into Monday evening. Some lighter snow out ahead of this system into northern parts of New England. Not a lot of snow with this. Your real heavy snow starts to pick up once we move into the overnight hours. The interesting thing will be on the south side of this system, I think, anyway, at least the most dangerous part. Don't get me wrong, you can get some slick roads with snow, but now we're talking about some ice potential for western parts of Maryland, the D.C. metro, northern parts of Virginia, arguably even some parts of West Virginia, too. You've got some shallow cold air at the surface with some warmer air aloft. Sometimes you get freezing rain because the snowflakes fall through a layer of warm air. It melts, and then right at the surface, you've got that cold air. Sometimes you just don't have the snow growth region in the clouds, and you get super cool water drops that fall. And remember how cold it's been over the last couple of days? So even if temperatures slightly go above freezing, I've seen it do that, and you still get ice freezing to surfaces that are still just below freezing, especially if our air temperatures only climb into the low to mid 30s, say it's 34, 35 degrees, and it's raining, you could see how freezing rain could be a concern. Snow accumulation most likely here across the far northeast, some lighter accumulations back here towards Pittsburgh possible, and even into parts of New York and northern parts of New Jersey, maybe a few flakes flying into New York City, but further to the south, that's that freezing rain threat. Low numbers here, but it doesn't take very much. It only takes 1/100 of an inch or less of just breaking that friction of the surface of whatever it is, if it's a sidewalk or if it's a road or a handrail you're trying to hold on to. We could be in for an icy start tonight into early Tuesday morning, and then temperatures start to warm up. Now, in these types of situations, the high-resolution models usually do a little bit better of a job. It keeps it colder in the D.C. and the Baltimore for a little bit longer, but then temperatures heading into the afternoon warm up above freezing. Keep in mind, there could still be some pockets of cold air trapped, especially in some of the valleys. And then we've developed this sort of wedge look here as we head through the week, keeping temperatures I think across the Northeast and down into parts of even the Piedmont of Virginia and North Carolina, cold as some warm air tries to surge west of the mountains up to the north. Let's move back to the west across the Great Lakes, Michigan, back into Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana. We start to dry out after some light snow moving through these areas, even some mixed precip here along southern parts of Michigan, and then even some rain, just too warm for snow further south into Ohio and Indiana, and then high pressure builds in and we start to dry out on Tuesday. That's Christmas Eve. Now, as we get into Christmas morning, we're waking up with some rain showers across Indiana, Illinois, and then that starts to lift off to the north. Just some scattered showers possible here, and that lasts into the 26th and 27th. You can see they're very scattered in nature. It doesn't look like a huge organized area of rain, but rain chances do start to increase as we head toward the weekend, so this looks kind of soggy and kind of gross. I said it before, I'm going to say it again, kind of a mud alert, right? You know what I'm talking about? I mean, I've got these places in my yard that start to thaw out, and now all of a sudden, if you have a high traffic area or you take your vehicle into the backyard or if you live on a farm, and I've been there, and the mud just piles up. Let's look at our temperatures as we move through this week. There we go on Wednesday, warming up into the 30s, 40s too, into Chicago, maybe even 50s across Indiana, and some would argue close to 60 on the southern side of this as we head into the weekend. Heading to the southeast here, as we move through Monday, we've got rain showers, high pressure to the north, wedging down the Piedmont into the parts of Virginia. That's going to push some of that colder air south as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. On the west side of the mountain and up the Mississippi River Valley into the Tennessee Valley, you've got return flow like this. That's pushing that warm Gulf air to the north. Higher pressure here, this is Arctic high pressure. There's that wedge of cold air. You can almost see it here when you track out the isobars driving south into the mountains of really right along the face of the mountains of North Carolina, down into upstate South Carolina, and even into North Georgia. That cold air damming holds firm. That's going to keep us cold also. I talked about New Jersey into the Delmarva, all the way down into the, again, the northeastern parts of Georgia. And this holds tight as this strong high pressure sort of sits there. Think about how dense cold air is. If you wonder, you've been in the kitchen before or you've been in the living room like me and the kids leave the refrigerator door open and all of a sudden you feel this cold air at your feet. Think of that as the atmosphere, that cold air just pushing down here south, right along the face of the mountains at the surface, while aloft you get some warmer air moving in, and that will continue to hold tight, it looks to me like, anyway, through Friday and even into Saturday. Rain moving up into the Tennessee Valley. It's going to be a wet go here for the next couple of days, and even into Florida we'll see some showers, but it turns really wet, I think, heading into next weekend with temperatures close to the new year starting to tumble. Now we get more of a wavy pattern and it starts to chill down a little bit. Look at your temperatures heading into Tuesday and Wednesday, highs in the 60s across a good chunk of the south. By Thursday and Friday, these again would be your highs heading into the afternoon. We're up into the 50s from Charleston back all the way to Nashville. We're close to 60, 70s into southern Arkansas, Texarkana, likely breaking 70 by Saturday. And then look at Sunday. We're close to 60 for Louisville, Lexington, eastern Kentucky into the low 60s. Across the Plains states, heading into Tuesday, some thunderstorms possible. Some of those could be strong to severe, especially here across Texas, Arkansas, parts of Louisiana, as we're watching this upper trough swing to the east like this. Maybe some damaging winds, some rotating updrafts. An isolated tornado can't be completely ruled out. And then there comes the Christmas snow into the Rockies, heading into early Christmas morning with that weak disturbance here. And then southerly flow picks up out into the Plain States, warming temperatures up out ahead of this system, with more snow moving into the Rockies as we head into the 27th and 28th with our next system. And there's a look at the Storm Prediction Center's outlook across Texas with that marginal chance for thunderstorms here from Texarkana south into East Texas, really including, I would say, go ahead and include Houston in that, and watch out as these move east into parts of Louisiana. Temperatures in this region will be warm as we head through Christmas Day. There's your high temperatures on Christmas anyway, up into the 60s here across Texas, 30s. We've talked about the upper Midwest and the northern plains in the 30s and 40s here, 50s almost for Denver. Snow will be heavy across the west into the Cascades, down into the Sierra. This next storm looks like it's diving a little bit further to the south as we head into Christmas Eve. The newest data shows a little bit further of a south track. Winter storm warnings up here into the mountains of the Sierra, the southern Sierra, especially above 6,000 feet. We could see over a foot, maybe even some cases at the highest peaks close to 2 feet. And that could put some rain into Southern California. Really windy here, too. Some Mojave winds there, high wind warnings in effect as the winds pick up ahead of this system. And then that moves into Nevada, also Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, bringing the snow in Christmas morning. Not necessarily northern Montana, but maybe here right along the Idaho-Wyoming border, and then into the Wasatch, and the snow levels drop into Salt Lake City too, down to the valley floor Christmas. So a white Christmas for you guys, I think, with some colder air moving in too. Across the Pacific Northwest, our next system moves in Wednesday and Thursday. This looks like it's going to bring more widespread snow to Idaho and Montana, much more than the first system that kind of keeps it to the south. So now we're pushing it back into northern parts of Montana, and then look how the snow continues into Friday with another storm Saturday into British Columbia. Some places modeling out close to 4 feet of snow. Also northern parts of Washington state, especially up into the higher elevations. Watch out for the passes because the snow levels will start to drop. Temperatures on the way down. There's Christmas Day. You can see a little colder here into the Intermountain West. 30s, 20s are back. Warm across the southwest, the desert southwest, cooling down a little bit, back into the 60s for highs. We're back up into the 70s, though, heading into the weekend, and across the Central Valley, warming here, too. And then temperatures across the Front Range, a little bit mild. We've talked about that heading into Sunday. So that's a quick look around the country. Hope you enjoyed the forecast. If you did, subscribe, come back. We kind of looked at the long-range forecast at this video, at the beginning of this video a little bit. This right here in front of me is a much more detailed look at the long range heading into January. There's still a lot of questions. Check it out. Judge for yourself. I'll see you over there.